We're in the early phases of working on a marketing plan for our company. The document structure is basically in place, and now we want to pull back and look at how it flows. We'll use the navigation pane, which is new for Word 2010. To open up the navigation pane, click the View tab, and then in the Show group, we'll select the Navigation Pane checkbox. Right there, the navigation pane appears directly to the left of our document. In it, you see each of the document's headings and subheadings in a clear top-to-bottom lineup. This document happens to have 3 heading levels visible, but you can see up to 9 levels deep. Notice that the headings are indented according to their heading levels, making it easy to scan both top-level headings and subheadings. This view isn't just for looking. When we click a heading, we jump directly to the corresponding section in the document. So no more need to scroll, and that's especially helpful with what will become a long document, as we'll see in later sections of the course. One important thing to know here is that in order to get the most out of this view of the navigation pane, you need to have applied heading styles to your headings, such as heading 1, heading 2, and so on. You can see if we go to the Home tab of the ribbon, here in the Styles group, this particular heading is styled as heading 3. Styles are the hooks that make headings visible in the navigation pane, and you'll learn more about them in the practice session and in the quick reference card that come with the course. In the navigation pane, you can also view thumbnails of all the pages in your document. So let's click the Browse the Pages in Your Document tab. And here we have a nice bird's eye view. And what's more, as with headings, we can click a thumbnail to go directly to that page in the document. Next up, we're going to stop just looking and start doing, using the navigation pane to add to and organize content in our document. So let's move on. So fast forward. Our marketing plan is now 19 pages, and we're ready to drill down and check for completeness and logical organization. For starters, after scanning the headings in the navigation pane, we notice that we've left out a contact information section that needs to go at the end. You could scroll in the document body to get to where you want, but remember that's 19 pages. So instead, in the navigation pane, let's right-click the heading that precedes the one we want to add. When we do, we see that a menu of additional options appears for how to work with your document structure. We want to add a heading at the same heading level here, so we'll click New Heading After. 2 things happen. In the navigation pane, a new blank heading appears just below the existing heading. And over here in the document, the cursor awaits on a blank line. Start typing and you see that the text is automatically styled correctly as heading 2. We now decide that the new section actually needs to be a subheading under the preceding heading. So let's right-click the new heading in the navigation pane and then click Demote. You can see that the top-level heading now has an arrow next to it, and that the new heading is now nested underneath it. And just to reiterate, because heading levels in the navigation pane are linked to heading styles, the changes are visibly reflected in the document. Over here, the text is now styled as heading 3. Another way to create a subheading, besides demoting it, is to add it by using the new subheading command directly underneath an existing heading. So this time, let's right-click the Other Factors heading and then click New Subheading. Just as when we added a top-level heading, the new blank section shows up immediately in the navigation pane. And meanwhile, over in the document body, the cursor sits on a new line, waiting for you to type your new, correctly styled subheading. What if we wanted to get rid of an entire section of text? That's doable from the right-click menu as well, and we'll try that in the upcoming practice session. Now let's move some content around. The navigation pane can save you a lot of hassle when you're talking about moving around big chunks of text. So let's switch the how and the who sections. First, we'll collapse the who heading to hide that new subsection we added and make it easier to manipulate. Then we're going to drag the who heading and drop it underneath the how section using the black rule as our guide. As soon as we've dropped the heading into its new spot, we see over in the document that the entire section has been safely and completely moved, including the subheading. If you decide this change or any change doesn't work, all you have to do is click Undo on the Quick Access toolbar here at the upper left of the screen. Next up, we're going to learn how to find content and objects in Word 2010. Stay tuned. In a long document, particularly one full of facts and figures like our marketing plan, you're invariably going to want to find specific text, or even objects like figures or tables. For this too, we use the navigation pane. First, we're going to search for the term roadblock. Start by pressing the keyboard shortcut Control F, which is exactly the same shortcut used in earlier versions of Word. So, the navigation pane appears. Whereas in earlier versions of Word we typed the search term in the Find dialog box, now we type it in the Search Document box in the navigation pane. As you start typing, two things happen. First, all the matches appear top to bottom in order in the navigation pane. Second, all instances of the term are highlighted in yellow in the document body. As soon as you press Enter, the cursor goes straight to the first result, following its original position. If you want to go directly to a particular instance of the match, maybe one that appears toward the end of the document, you no longer have to scroll. Instead, click the match in the navigation pane. You jump right there in the document body, and you can make changes if you like. Once you're ready to continue your search, and after making the change, just click the Next button to be taken to the following instance of your result. Now, with our search terms displayed in the navigation pane, let's take a look at what's happening on those other two tabs. In the Headings area, every section that contains your search term is highlighted. Meanwhile, in the Pages area, you see a filtered version of the thumbnails. In other words, only the thumbnails that contain search hits. You can click any thumbnail to get to the search item on the corresponding page. So what if you're trying to find something in your document that isn't straight text? This marketing plan, as we said, has charts, graphics, and tables. We can find those using the navigation pane as well. So let's click the X button to clear the search, and the arrow becomes a magnifying glass, indicating that the decks are clear for a new search. Instead of typing a term in the search box, we'll click the magnifying glass and then click Graphics. We see right here that we have 5 matches, the first of which is on the title page. Click the next search result arrow, and you go sequentially from match to match. You can find tables, equations, footnotes and endnotes, and reviewer comments, as well as graphics. What about advanced find options, like the ability to match case or use wildcards? These haven't gone away. Click the arrow next to the search box and then click Advanced Find. The Find and Replace dialog box appears, which you might recognize from earlier versions of Word. There, we can click More, select any of the advanced options we want, and then click Find Next. Often when you search, you intend to replace. For example, you learn that a number has changed or that you need to be using a different term. Replacing text works just the same way it did in earlier versions of Word. So let's say we want to replace the term roadblock with challenge. If it's a fresh search, we can press Ctrl-H on the keyboard. Or in the navigation pane, click the arrow next to the search box, and then we click Replace. Either method opens the Find and Replace dialog box, where we can type the text we want to find, type the text we want to replace it with, and set any options. Then we click Replace or Replace All, depending on our preference. Note that the Find and Replace dialog box also includes the Go To tab, which enables you to go to specific areas of your document. We won't demonstrate that in detail here, but if that's a tool you liked in earlier versions, it's still here. There you have it, Word 2010 Navigation Pane. Next up, you'll get a chance to practice on your own.